Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stassi. Thank you so much for being here today. Oh my gosh, I'm literally fangirling today. I am so excited to have JoJo here. So thank you so much for coming here today.
Oh no, I'm the one that's fangirling. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, no, I don't even know what to say now. You got me speechless and we're 30 seconds in. But anyways, JoJo, why don't we start off with a little bit about yourself and your Sims history?
Okay, I'm Jojo. I also go by CottoneeSocks online, and I'm a sculptor who makes cow plants mainly, but all sorts of nerdy kind of Sims things. I started playing The Sims in 2005 when I was 7, and I first discovered it at a friend's house. She was inviting me over for a sleepover, and she said, I've got the coolest game, you're gonna love it. It's on the PlayStation 2. And so we kind of went up to her bedroom and sat down, and she showed me The Sims 2, and I was just like, this is the most amazing game ever. And so I went home, I told my parents I had to have this game called The Sims 2, and they didn't have a clue kind of to anything to do with video games.
Mhm.
Um, but they got it for me, put it on the computer. We managed to find a 7+ copy because in the UK we have like age ratings for games with 7+, 12+, 15+, and 18+. And The Sims, with all its expansion packs, is a 12+ game. And I was
Oh.
7, and so my parents were like, "Well, she can't play that. It's not going to be appropriate." But we managed to find a 7+ version of the base game, and I just played the Sims 2 base game with no expansion packs for 4 years straight. No updates, no expansions. I just played the base game, and Sims 3 came out just
Mhm.
before I turned 12. And originally I wasn't going to buy it. I was like, no, I'm just old enough to get all the expansion packs, so I'm just gonna play Sims 2 and enjoy it. And I got invited to the same friend's house, and she had Sims 3, and I was like, oh well, now I have to get Sims 3. So I started playing Sims 3, and that was when I kind of got into the online community of The Sims, because my friends at school all thought video games were very nerdy, and being a girl who was into video games was weird and dumb. So I thought, that's fine, I'll go online and make some friends. Um, so I got into a lot of writing. I did a lot of storytelling in the community on the Sims 3 website, which was a nightmare to work with. Um, and then they revealed The Sims 4. I was skeptical about the reveal because it was slightly controversial that there was the whole fiasco with it, like potentially being an all online game,
Mhm.
and having a lot of features that were removed from The Sims 3. And at the time, I was struggling with a lot of kind of health issues. I wasn't doing well at school, I wasn't doing well just mentally,
Mhm.
and I'd pre-ordered like this collector's ultimate edition of The Sims 4. I raced home after a very stressful day of school. I installed it and played it, and as I saw the bland, colorless home screen,
Mhm.
my heart kind of died inside. And I went back to Sims 3 for about 3 more years. And yeah, that's a kind of overall history of me and The Sims. I got back into The Sims 4 when Toddlers came out, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to give this another go because they have a few more features now.
Now, I gotta ask before we
Yeah,
delve back in, now that you've dived back into The Sims 4, what is better in your opinion? Sims 2, Sims 3, or Sims 4?
Sims 3, definitely Sims 3.
That's okay. A lot of people stand that Sims 3 is much better than Sims 4. I kind of hope one day to play it. I mean, I'm staring around right now. I have a bunch of discs because I've been collecting them, but I don't know if I can go back down because like Sims
It's
2,
difficult.
it is difficult because so I started with Sims 1. It was 2003, so I was 10, and my girlfriend, who was my best friend all through my childhood, her dad worked in IT, so she had a computer and she was able to play these games, and we would spend hours and hours and hours of making our crushes, building our dream homes. We had Sims notebooks to our eyeballs because we couldn't keep track of like all the stories that we would tell or what we wanted to build. Like we would literally, like every weekend I slept over at our house pretty much. Like that's just like how inseparable we were. And yeah, like we literally would spend hours being like, okay, so this time we're gonna build like a big house, and we're gonna use this stuff, and we always had to have the heart bed because I had to have the heart bed, and I literally did not realize that it vibrated until like 2 weeks ago because I had just remembered the bed, but I didn't
Oh,
remember it vibrating.
yeah,
Um,
no. When during the time that I was playing Sims 2 and wasn't allowed any of the expansion packs because I wasn't old enough for whatever risque content was in Open for Business,
yeah.
um, my parents didn't quite understand how games worked, so they thought, oh well, maybe The Sims 1 would be more appropriate. It's still a 12 plus, but it's an older game, so maybe it won't be as bad. Luckily, they didn't get me the expansion packs for Sims 1 with the vibrating heartbed or the stripper cages. I
Like,
did, however, get to play Making Magic and Superstar, but
oh my, I like, when you grow up and you see those memes when you get older, they're like, you never thought like the last time you'd ever play Superstar would be that one time. And then you look back and I'm like, listen, I'm not a big fan of EA. I openly bash them on any platform that I speak on because they are a business, not a good one. But if they ever released The Sims 1 on Origins with all the expansion packs and it was $1,000, you best know I'd be taking out that loan because I need to
don't
have
give them ideas.
or this is actually an idea that I have, I think would be really cool for the next big sim anniversary. So say like the 25th anniversary to release a kit with all of the original iconic stuff from Sims 1 and Sims 2 and putting it into Sims 4.
That's really interesting because they actually did something similar to that during The Sims 3. With
Really?
the Sims 3 store, which is a whole
Yeah, yeah.
problem in and of itself, um, they released a pack called like the Sims Classics or something, which
Yeah.
contained a bunch of like old things, including the cow plant. That's how cow plants got into The Sims 3.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
they were like included in this pack, and I can't remember how expensive it was, but you had to pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
But it'd be really interesting if they did something like that, where they kind of, for free, hopefully, in an update, uh, just gathered a bunch of weird random stuff from past games and brought them over to The Sims 4.
I agree. And then what you're doing as well is you're introducing the newest generation who have never played Sims 1 and Sims 2 because they weren't either alive or they were toddlers.
Yeah,
Um, they would now be able to experience what like Sims 1 and Sims 2, kind of like how we grew up. But like I want to play Making Magic so bad. I had it, but I can't remember how much it was because I was so obsessed with the Superstar one because I would have fashion shows all the time and I was so obsessed. At that point, I was like, I want to be a fashion designer. Do I want to do these things? But like,
I think Sims is just like a repeating parts of your life going like, maybe I want to be a fashion designer, maybe I want to be an architect, maybe I want to be this, maybe I want to be a supervillain.
definitely super villain. When I was growing up, I was like always a villain. So like when I would make my Sims, I would give them like so much chaotic traits. Whenever you could remember, I mean, in Sims 1, you had like 20 options. You'd be like tidiness, 3, charismatic, 8, and just stuff like that. But now, like I have to say, because I'm a storyteller in The Sims 4, I have to be able to bend my Sims to my will, so that everybody has like they're good and nice. But before I started Rose Chronicles, like I would be like actually the first renditions of all the characters, like if they were evil, I gave them the evil trait. I love that. Now, which leads me to my question that I don't typically ask people: what are your Sims traits?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I I know what my Sims traits are on the Sims3.com.
that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
I've got artistic,
Okay.
um, loner probably, neurotic, which is the equivalent to anxiety, I think, in The Sims.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, Jojo. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was expecting creative artist.
No, I think perfectionist, but not in a good way. Perfectionist is in a that's a trait I need to get over.
Mm,
And
I 100%
yeah.
get you. I'm like in real life, I look like I have my life put together. Kind of do. But like I'm a perfectionist for certain aspects, not everything. Things I really care about. That it has to be perfect. I won't settle for anything less. Now, if you look around my house, it's extremely cluttered because I love a good clutter. Who doesn't like clutter? But
Yeah,
like
clutter's good.
my family has the OCD trait. They
Uh,
like to tell me all the time that I didn't get that trait because if you were looking at my desk right now, what you can clearly see Gerald the bear, and I have about 35 stuffies lined up against the wall and all of my notes from previous podcasts. And my fiance's like, wanna organize? I'm like, nah. I like to live in what I like to call organized chaos. That's literally how to describe it. And I think organized chaos brings me to my next part that we got to talk about, which was the Sim Summit on Tuesday. This podcast isn't coming out for a little bit, so there will be more information, I'm sure, released. But as this was being filmed, the Sim Summit was this past week. What were your thoughts going into it? And did the summit exceed your expectations?
I think they somehow managed to reveal The Sims 5 and also keep The Sims 4 looking like a healthy, thriving game, which whoever designed that marketing strategy deserves a raise.
Yes.
Because I did not think they were going to be able to do that in the slightest. I thought we're either going to get no Sims 5 announcement, which is
Mhm.
going to leave like half the community in tears,
Yeah.
because they want the next iteration of the game, or we're going to get a Sims 5 announcement, and then the Sims 4 is going to die a slow, painful death until until that game comes out. But somehow someone had the genius idea of like looking at what every other video game is doing at the moment and saying, why don't we just talk about the process of building the game?
Yeah.
Hence the reason for I think the name like Project Renee. People have been saying things like, why are they calling it Project Renee? That's not going to catch on. That's not cool. But I think they're not calling it Sims 5 because it's not Sims 5 yet. They like it's going to be a year or two or three before it is Sims 5, let alone before they release it. So I think,
I
yeah.
no, sorry, Jojo. I did not mean to cut you off, but I agree with you. I was very anxious going into it. I figured because obviously how it goes down, so EA has more leaks than a faucet, without a doubt. And
Mhm.
you know they're going to talk about Sims 5 because the big guys are talking about Sims 5. And then it trickles down to the second tier and they're talking about Sims 5. And then the third tier and the fourth tier, and then so much more. So I was like, they have to say something. I was shocked to see what we got. I was more expecting what the plumb bob was going to look like. I thought like maybe
Yeah.
that is what they were going to give us. Um, or like
Well, it's interesting. Oh, sorry, I
no,
didn't
no,
mean
go
to.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
It's interesting because I think the first thing they revealed for The Sims 4 was like a narrow strip of like Sims faces, but like just their eyes.
Yeah.
You could see, and when people saw the art style, they thought it looked like a mobile game, and they were not happy, like at all. There was fury within the community, and I was only on the forums at this point. I hadn't touched Twitter or Instagram or anything, and people were not happy. So I think them showing build mode this time I mean, build mode's going to change. I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest, all we saw were it was essentially a tech demo. I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, they have tools that they kind of know they want to implement and that they've sort of been playing around with and building. But like, I mean, chances are all that furniture was like made for that demo. We
Yes.
don't know.
It
We don't know how far along they are.
exactly. Now I'm gonna tell you my true thoughts of what I thought Project Renee was. So I was watching the summit. Of course, it was during like I have these lunch and learn meetings all the time. So it had to be that day. So I'm literally sitting there like trying to. So I'm reading the subtitles on my YouTube, which I can only get about every 30 seconds. I get the previous 30 seconds. So I'm trying to sit and watch this. I'm going like this. And I'm like, and my first thought, I was like, okay, so I could see that they talked about the new worlds in the Sims 4. And I was like, that's awesome. That's really great. Which I will ask you in a little bit what you think the new worlds are and all that great stuff. So, anyways, I'm continuously looking down and I see the mod section. I'm just like, I don't know what this is because I'm only getting every at this point every third word of whatever the text is supposed to be. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna come back to this. Then I saw all the mobile game stuff, and I was so concerned that the Sims Mobile's biggest problem was they didn't have balconies. And I was like, what the fuck is this 2010? And I'm like, well, now we can barbecue. And then I literally have this right here because this was my notes from the for my summit. And I'm like, for the free play game. And I'm like, this is before and after. It's the same. Literally the same, but okay. So anyways, so I look down and I can see the woman talking and I see Project Renee, but I can't hear what she's saying. So I'm what my brain was like, oh, this is just more of the mobile that they're talking about. So I'm looking at it, I was like, oh my God, this looks so mobile. I'm like, okay. And then it ends. I text my fiance. I was like, no Sims 5 announcement. Couldn't pull it off. And then not even I sent it, and then I get a tweet saying Sims 5, and then my inbox is being flooded because they announced that you're gonna have cushions on the couches, which is something I have been screaming at and for these podcasts for over a year. I'm like, why do I have to download CC to put cushions on my couch? We have Jeff Bezos going to fucking space, but yeah, I have to download CC. Like it's literally the platform I've been standing on. So I go back and I watch the summit. I'm like, oh, oh, oh. And then what I was talking about on the podcast this week, I was like, I'm concerned that they're not showing what the Sims look like at this point. I understand it would be extremely rough. I expect it to be extremely rough, but I'm concerned that they're going to go a little too animated with the design moving forward instead of it being a little bit more realistic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's again a 50-50 split from what I've seen from people that want the game to look completely realistic,
Mm-hmm.
and then people that want it to look like a Pixar movie. So,
Yes. I've seen people with
mm,
their guesstimations and the eyeballs are like the size of their like goddamn foreheads. And I'm like, no, please. That's for
I have to
dream.
say, I lean more on the side of hopefully more realistic,
Same.
but
I
yeah.
I want it to look like like those what's it called? The movie with Tom Hanks came out like 100 years ago. A Holiday Express, a Train Express, whatever that one, and it looks so kind of creepy, realistically real. And you're like, is that a real person?
Mm,
Is that like
we don't want the uncanny valley. That was not fun.
that's fair. I just want it to look like more very like I'm a very realistic person. I don't want it to have that animated vibe.
Have you seen any of the news about the copyrighted like face technology that came out from EA? No, you haven't heard
No.
about that? Oh.
Oh my God. Please spill the tea as I have my
No,
tea
Sims
here.
Community covered some technology that had like been patented by EA, where they'd shown facial data being inputted into a system and then being applied to models. So potentially, obviously, they didn't specify the Sims, but they were using Sims 4 Sims as like testers, as examples to like show what the technology could do.
Yeah,
But obviously, the most logical EA franchise for them to build that sort of technology for would be Sims 5. So
absolutely.
it seems like there might be some sort of way that you can just like upload a photo and it creates a sim of you, which would be. And there was also like photos of them trying to apply the technology to like body shape and clothes and all sorts, which I think is going to be extraordinarily difficult to pull off. But I'm not a developer. I just look at it and go, wow, that looks impressive. If it works, I'll be happy.
I agree. Well, that's the thing. Like, if it works, like everything they're promising, I'm gonna need to buy a new computer because I can barely run The Sims 4 on this computer. We have to pray to the plumb bobs every time I add more CC to this game that it's going to continue to work. I can't even imagine like having like a color wheel or having patterns or having these like this create the ability to do everything, especially that the rumor on the street that it's going to be a multiplayer game, which I have stressed
Mm.
multiple times that I'm not a fan of that. It's great for other people who want to do that. I did get flack because I literally opened this and I'm like, I don't want to play with anybody on the Sims community. And I still stand by what I said. The Sims is me time. And I like to, this is me. This is me being creative. Jojo, what are your thoughts on it being multiplayer? Thank you.
Uh, no, I'm very happy that they're like considering that kind of gameplay for people that want it. I just want
Yes.
my solo experience to be equally as considered. I want it to be a solo game first and
Hmm.
foremost before they consider adding multiplayer elements. And it's
Exactly.
just a case of like, do you trust them to do a good job on both?
No,
So,
no, because it's going to be a subscription based. So it'll be like, pay 29.99 a month and you can talk to your friends. They can come into your world and you guys can, have parties together in real life and stuff like that. And like, I'm
I
so
just
concerned that Sims 5 is going to be so out of price range
I think
that,
the
like,
sad thing is that like with a subscription service at this point, for most people, it might actually be cheaper to subscribe than to buy all the packs.
but no, this is a subscription for, I feel like, online. Like this is not all.
Oh,
No, no, no. This isn't like renting the packs. This is just online, or if they do a Sims 5 store like they did with Sims 3, because I could see that coming back as well.
mm.
Hmm. I'm not a fan of
Yeah.
that. That's
No, please
no,
no.
no. I don't know about you, but so say like you said, Sims, like this is like very beginning steps of Sims 5. I don't think it's gonna come out now till like 2025. Like it can wait till 2030, to be honest with you. Because I don't think a lot of people in the Sims community right now are wanting Sims 5. I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like there's still more potential with Sims 4, especially that they still have years of content ahead. What are your
Mm.
thoughts?
I think that some of the stuff they've been implementing kind of over the last few years, kind of focusing more on family
Mm-hmm.
gameplay and realizing that there are people that really want that kind of like immersive gameplay that's like personality driven sims.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the changes that they've been adding are really giving a lot more life to the game that's going to keep it around for a lot longer.
Yeah.
But I think it's just it's difficult because the Sims 4 base game I feel like is such a crumbled foundation that they're kind of building upon.
Mm-hmm.
That they're building really cool things on top of this crumbling foundation. But at the end of the day, I think they are kind of sat there thinking we can only build so much on top of this. So, like the babies update, I'm very
Yes.
excited for because as a gameplay person,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, yes, finally, finally, they're not going to be objects.
I love that. I agree with that. I think what I'm actually was a little disappointed about that they didn't talk about any more like pack refreshes, because if you remember when they did
Mm,
Spotted that they had talked about refreshing more packs, I definitely feel like some of the packs really do need to be refreshed, especially the very older ones, because like for an example, like Get to Work doesn't really feel like an expansion pack anymore compared to like high school. They seem
I think they
extremely
have,
night and day.
yeah, I think they've completely blurred the lines between what's an expansion pack,
Mm-hmm.
what's a game pack.
Mm-hmm.
I think stuff packs are long and dead. Um,
But I want a stuff pack. They like it like you can't like I love paranormal, but like you gotta give us more. I was so excited for paranormal, and then they announced kits, and I bash kits left, right, and center, but they are for console players. They are for console
yeah.
players, so they're able to have more content, which I do understand that, but I'm just like I give my arm for a stuff pack. But like now even game packs are coming with worlds.
Yeah, I think they realized that the stuff pack model as they were doing it, like if you look at paranormal stuff and then like luxury party stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's night and day. Because like luxury party stuff came with like 10 items, I think.
Yes.
Whereas the paranormal came with a career and Bonehilda and lots of amazing furniture and all of that sort of stuff. But I think they realized that stuff packs, the old way that they were doing them,
Mm-hmm.
they can't justify selling that anymore. They can't
No.
justify that price point for 10 items. Because I mean, nowadays, even more so than before, like custom content is just so readily available and it's
Oh
easy
yeah.
to access, apart from obviously the terrible situation that console players can't have access to any of it at the minute, which they need to work on. Um,
I I agree. I feel like EA forgot about console players. Do you feel the same way?
yeah, I mean, it kind of, although Sims 4 is the first console which has like a full version of the game, I think. I can't
Mm.
remember what Sims 2 was like on console. But in terms of Sims 3, that I played Sims 3 on the Wii, and that was not a good experience. So,
It was on the Wii.
it was on the Wii. I wouldn't recommend picking it up.
Huh. I had no idea. I've
But
become
yeah, The Sims 4 is the first game that's actually the same on PC as it is on console. Because like
okay.
even with The Sims 2, I played Sims 2 on DS, and that was a completely different game.
Oh
It wasn't a
yes.
life simulator at all. It
No,
was like it was a mystery in an alien town or whatever.
yeah. No, I played that because I also had it for PSP. And
Hmm.
yeah, Bella Goth goes missing, and we have to find her because she's been abducted by aliens and all that good stuff. Yeah, it was completely. I remember being so confused while playing it as a kid. I was like, wait. But The Sims 2 on my computer is a simulate. Like, well, why I called at that time because I didn't know what simulation was because I was like 10. Used to
Mm.
call it a real life game. Like you could like make yourself and like in the game in real life. And I'm like, what is this adventure shit? I didn't sign up for this. I am like the worst at video games. Anything adventure or mission based games, not me. I like free play and do whatever what I want to do. Which kind of leads me to my next question, which I know you're gonna you know a lot about. So please educate me on this matter of what is happening with the mods and CC update, big update coming for The Sims 4. Like, please explain it to me.
I'll preface this with I'm not an expert, but but it seems like what they're doing is finally providing a platform that will, in some way, connect to the game for custom content creators to upload their content to, and essentially provide a secure way, an easy way, and just a generally more kind of stable way to install content into your game for people that perhaps aren't as comfortable doing that sort of stuff themselves. Also,
Okay.
they've announced the people that are doing it. I don't know whether it's Cursed Forge or Overwolf. I think they're the same company, but they're using different names.
Something like that.
Anyway, um, your mods are going to auto update by the sounds of it. So instead of you having to find every modder's website or Patreon and go through
Mhm.
and update your things all at once, the modder can just upload it to Cursed Forge or wherever and say, hey, there's an update. So you can just log on, press the button, mods all update, problem solved.
Jojo, I don't know if you're just aware, but you're flirting with me right now. You have no idea. That would save my life so much time and so much else because every time I see the under the plumb bob on Instagram, they'll say patch day, and I literally am like, fuck.
Yeah.
I was gonna play Sims tonight. I had this whole plan figured out. I'm like, oh, it's not gonna. I had to spend like 2 hours just trying to figure out everything because I don't even like I don't play with really truly any mods per se. I kind of the only mod I have is the teleporter for poses. And
Mm.
that has not needed to be updated since cats and dogs was the last time
Oh,
that was
well, that's
updated.
good.
That's good, but people who play with Red Shelf and people who play with Tool have to continuously do that.
Mm.
And my heart goes out to anybody who has to go through that stuff. Or the camera mod, I have to update once in a while. Or reshades and G shades, I have to update those as well. So I'm like,
There are just so many little things that you don't think about until you're like, well, that's broken.
mm-hmm.
Can't play now.
Can't play. I don't know what's broken with it. I have no idea. Let's go through every CC piece and take it out and put it back in and see if that works. But no, that's exciting. And what I hope it does, it not only will it help CC creators, I hope that opens up the door so CC creators can be in the room when EA releases more packs and especially more expansion packs and actually have builders, actual builders coming in and building these. I don't want to see the first world builds. Those are terrible. Those are like atrocious. Like a small baby child could do better than some of these, like the builds that they had, or even Cass. Like shine
Yeah,
spotlights on
looking
these
at some
amazing
of
swimmers.
yeah, looking at some of the builds from like older packs is slightly sad.
Oh yeah.
So I think just the more kind of connection that the Sims team have with the community, especially the creative community such as modders and custom content creators,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good thing. That's a really good thing.
As a gameplay in summer, what mods in CC do you recommend for anybody?
uh, MC Command Center is essential. Um, that's pretty much the only main mod that I use because I don't do a
Okay.
lot of building, so I
Okay.
don't have tool or anything. I just download other people's builds that have used it. And for anyone interested in Sims 3, because I play a lot of Sims 3, the NRAS mods are a lifesaver because they fix the game, which EA forgot to do before they moved on to The Sims 4.
I think that's EA's model. They're like, we're just gonna keep moving on because like I was reading people's comments, which you should never read comments on things unless you think they're gonna be amazing. And people's comments on the summit were like, cool, are you going to fix The Sims 4? Are you going to continue to fix these problems before you put in new problems? Which I want to talk about this. I feel like we have two very different opinions on this matter, but I want to hear your opinion. As we all know, it's coming in either December or January. Hashtag debug my baby will no longer be a problem because babies will no longer be debugged items. They're going to be infants now before they go to toddlers. What is your thoughts on that being a game player? As I know you are excited for the update. What are you the most excited about?
I'm excited that they're finally gonna feel like little human babies as opposed to just items that kind of sit there in the corner of the room and make noise because that's kind of what they've been doing for the past 8 years. But no, one of the moments that kind of stands out to me most was after I played Sims 4 like for the first time in 2014.
Mhm.
I think it was the first time I had a baby jump out of the bassinet and turn into a child that I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I just no, just no. And that was kind of my last fleeting
Mhm.
loss of hope before I went back to Sims 3. So obviously I was very excited for toddlers when that became a thing. And now with the infants, I don't know how they're gonna change it. I was sort of hoping that this is gonna replace the object babies,
Mm.
but I'm slightly confused about if it's a new life state. Are we still gonna have object babies and then they're gonna be infants and then they're gonna be toddlers?
Yes. So from
If
what
that's the case, that's a bit much for me, and I might try and find a mod that removes the baby stage.
I got you. So yeah, so that's what it is. So EA has stepped out and has said that it's a new life stage. So we are
Mm.
gonna have debugged babies to start, and then it will go to toddler, sorry, infant, and then it goes to toddler, and then child, and then teen, and then adult, and then death. So I agree with that. I think that's a little too much, kind of at the really like the beginning phases. The only thing I'm kind of concerned of is when the infants are crawling through walls, because we know that's going to happen. I
We can hope. We can hope
I
that
can't wait to,
maybe they will have, you know, object collision added to them. But
or you know when your cat or dog like runs away, you'll get a notification, baby or Sarah has run away. And she's just like crawling away. Like that's what I'm. I think
no.
they're just going to use the same code that they use for pets, in my
Well,
opinion.
the biggest problem in The Sims 3 is that we have snow depth. So if you take your baby to somewhere with a lot of snow and they put the baby down in the snow, baby's gone. You've lost your baby because there's just no way to see them. But we don't have this issue in Sims 4. There's no snow depth. So children are fine. They're safe.
Sorry, that just made, I had no idea. That just made my, oh my God.
Sims 3 pro tip, don't take your baby out in the snow. Not because they might get cold or they might, get sick or whatever. Because if you put them down in the snow, you've just gone. Just gone.
Sorry, I don't usually make that face. I didn't even think of that. I didn't like I don't usually play with like snow. I usually keep in summer and just keep always being in summer. Oh my God.
Are you excited for it?
um yes and no. I'm
Mm.
excited for the community because they've been really wanting it. I, on the other hand, will be turning that shit off pretty quick. Just because as a being a storyteller, not because like my storytelling is I am telling a story that I have already written. It's not the Sims living their day to day and finding drama in that. Um, I couldn't even imagine having a an infant crawling around. I can barely take care of the fish and like the small things in this game, let alone keeping track of like a baby. Like that's why I really don't play with pets in this game, like in Rose Chronicles, because I had a hard time keeping care of Milo, which was like I had this whole arc dedicated around him, and then like he just kept running away. And I was like, wait, where's this cat? And then it's just like Milo has passed. I was like, wait, what? I'm like, okay. I fed him. So like I'm concerned for that. I think I'm just more concerned of it just being broken and then EA not
Mm.
fixing it, but then giving us like outfits for the infants or toys, but not again, not addressing that it's going to be crawling through walls or crawling up the walls or just doing something on the lines of that. I think I'm just kind of want EA to fix the problems before we're like, let's add babies now. Sorry, infants. When I was doing the podcast, I was talking to Alex, and Alex had said he's like, well, The Sims is going to need an extreme update then for all the packs, because how is it going to say a pack from 2015 going to interact with with an infant? They're gonna have to go back and fix all that coding. And we know that the Sims 4 team doesn't do a lot of QA testing as much as it did with the older packs. I think a lot of stuff is going to be missed and it's going to break the game. What I would like is, again, like you said, skipped debugged baby, go straight to infant, And then I'd like to have a middle aged instead of being from 45 years old to being 110. Like there's really no like I would like at that stage a little bit more in my personal opinion than infants, but just because in my story I tell with more people of different ages. That's from teen and up instead of teen and down. I don't usually play with children like the children age. I
Yeah,
know I
no,
just I know I'm sorry, I
that
just
makes a lot
rambled.
of sense, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Because there is kind of a bit of a gap there.
Well,
But
yeah, especially now because then they'll have baby, infant, child, teen, young adult, adult, death. Sorry, elder, and then 2 days later, death.
yeah,
So I feel like I want to see that more middle-aged range, and I kind of hope for that for Sims 5.
yeah, I think with The Sims 4 at the moment, I think rather than adding another life state, I mean, infants is like, yay, this was needed. And I'm really happy for it. But if it had been any other, I'm not someone who's after preteens
Yeah, no.
because I think that we're just going to have to live with the fact that the teenagers go from like being a 12-year-old type to being a 20-year-old type.
Yes.
And that's not something they can change at this point. And even if they did, it would kind of be a waste of time because they could put those resources towards something else. But we now have a lot more gameplay for teenagers. I'd love to
Mhm.
see something like that for elders
Yes.
because they turn into an elder and then they kind of just sit there.
Like
And
I
it's
would
like,
like to see retirement homes. I would like to see
yeah, just something for
something
them
else
to
like
do with
senior
their years.
centers and just kind of like instead of like knitting. And then you get that notification. They're like, "Oh, make those final arrangements." And you're like, "She just aged up 10 minutes ago. What the hell?" Yeah. I would definitely like to see that. I definitely know preteens. We can't keep adding more lifespan to like before that. What I wish, so I think everybody at EA has just watched Gossip Girl, Riverdale, and every teen show to ever exist and think that like that's what teenagers actually look like. I would like to see them shorter. I what I think I'd like the most is a height scale. Because like people are
Mm.
like you can't go like individual. I'm like, yeah, so short, normal, tall. I'm extremely short. I'm 5 foot. So like every sim I create is very tall. And I'm like, I would like to see short and I'd like to see more of the short people recognized. And I'm sure tall would like the same as well. So like literally 3 little bits. I think that would make a really big difference. But then have the teens instead of them looking from teen to young adult, and because like what they do, they age like they get like that much taller. And for anyone listening, like a centimeter or
They don't
half an
get
inch,
taller, they're the same height.
yeah, or their cheeks get a little bit more full.
Yeah. No, I hope height's something that they consider for The Sims 5 like early on in development so that it's there from the start so they don't run into the issues. Because
A exactly.
I think the main issue is that when The Sims 4 launched, it essentially had two rigs.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had teenagers to elders, which are essentially kind of the same character model and the same rig. And then you
Yes.
had kids, and then you had babies, which were objects. So
Mm-hmm.
we only had kids and adults.
Mm-hmm.
It was like The Sims 1.
Yes.
Like
Which is
even The Sims 2 had toddlers,
mm-hmm.
kids, teenagers, adults, and elders. They were all different. They all and in The Sims 3, there's different animations for teenagers because they are a different model. They require different animations to carry out interactions. Whereas with The Sims 4, they're the same model as adults. So that's great for like Creator Sim
Yes.
because all the clothes fit the teenagers. And
Mm-hmm.
Sims 3 clothing for teenagers is abysmal. It is not a good situation. So that's been wonderful for Sims 4 because teens have just had access to all the things that adults can like
Yeah.
wear and stuff. But it does give just this weird vibe that when you're walking around in a world, you think, is that a teen or is that an adult? Because you just can't tell from
Oh,
looking.
oh my God, yeah. Because like, and then like I would get people. Oh, excuse me. to send me Sims so I could put them into Rose Chronicles, and they would send me teens because I said because they're teenagers, right? I had them like, please stop doing that. Please make them young adults because they want to go, they have to go to school or they'll fail. Sorry, and I'm just like, I agree with that. I kind of just wish as well that like when it came to, like why is every sim like teen or just like kind of like very slender, and then anyone that has, like a normal body shape, the clothes just spread. Like it's not actually designed for a different body shape. They just like literally, like as a graphic designer, they just go like that. I kind
Yeah,
of want more clothes designed for like even just having plus size Sims clothes. I would
yeah.
shit my pants.
I think body shapes and gender differences between Sims, especially,
Hmm.
was an afterthought that came a lot later
Yeah.
than it should have done. I'm very thankful that it's there, and I think it's amazing what the Sims team have done because as a AAA game, that kind of sets the standard that when AAA is doing it, it's like, why isn't the entire industry doing it?
Hmm.
They should be.
I
But
agree.
representation is something that came into The Sims' marketing strategy, I guess, like a lot later than it should have.
Yeah.
And I think now they're kind of facing the issue, like a lot of clothes that have been coming out in the more recent packs, kind of going towards gender neutral. There's been a lot more of that
Yes.
stuff available, especially in the kids outfit kits. Like I saw a lot of that. That was, from what I remember, quite a lot of that was gender neutral, and it looked good on either model. But then there are a lot of cases where you see a male framed or a masculine framed sim
Hmm.
wearing something that was created for a feminine framed sim, and you're like, this isn't working. I'm glad that it's available,
Yes.
but it could be done better. So again, hopefully that's something they consider from the start in The Sims 5, because if we've got it in The Sims 4, it should be there from the get-go in the next version, I think.
I totally agree with you. Fun story. So the magic pack. My brain is literally cannot think what it's called in The Sims 4.
Realm of Magic.
Realm of Magic, thank you. So
That's
the
it.
jacket that like a lot of people use for like private schools, it's like it has, so if you put that on a guy, it actually gives them boobs. Just say. So what you have to do is you have to go in and actually lower the chest down so it doesn't, they don't have boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when they wear
Mm,
anything else, you have to put the chest back up. It's literally hilarious. But again, if it's meant for like have it for every sim, but actually follow through and make
mm.
it so it doesn't have like the boob shape. Or if it's a guy's pants, you put them on a girl for like dress pants style, because I'd like more dress pants for
Yes.
women in the
Yes.
Sims 4. That would be awesome, and not tacky dressers from like 1999. Um you it has like the area for, what the guys have up front. It doesn't sit right, or it sits up really high. And I'm like, I don't like
So
that.
yeah, it needs to be a thought that's at the forefront of whatever they're developing for The Sims 5,
I
as
agree.
opposed to something that's like added in like 4 years later. It's like, oh yeah, we remembered that, you know, masculinity and femininity is a fluid thing. You can do
Mhm.
that now. So
Exactly. Well, Jojo, is there anything you want to add before we talk about your amazing sculptures?
I think that pretty much covers the majority of the chaos that happened from the Sim Summit.
Yes. But final question, because I just thought of it. What do you think the two worlds are going to be?
Oh, I don't know. When I first saw the concept art, I thought kind of like Encanto vibes for the colors in the first one. I haven't actually looked at them in detail. Um, so I don't know whether they'd consider doing something that was more influenced by that area of the world. Since like after Luca came out,
Yeah.
the Sims did Tartosa, so they seem to be uh, following a Disney trend. about world study. But so maybe Encanto is the next, they're going to do a world based on that movie. Um,
I think I would love
um,
that. I think the second one's going to be San Francisco because
yes, I
you can
think
see the Golden Gate
the
Bridge in the
Golden Gate
background.
Bridge. So that's kind of a given that it's going to be an American world, but they might put some sort of spin on it, like in Big Hero 6 takes place in like San Francisco or something.
Yeah,
So they might like blend two different areas of the world or something. But I think San Francisco is probably a safe bet.
I got you. I'm kind of tired of all the worlds kind of be like really Western based. I would love to
Mm.
see worlds from different parts of the world. If you could have your dream expansion pack with any type of world in there, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know. They kind of did it with Mount Komorebi. I
Okay.
really like the Japanese inspired world because I'm a huge nerd for lots of stuff that comes out of Japan, whether it be
Hmm.
anime or Nintendo or Pokemon. But then also I just find like the culture just so beautiful, and the kind of homage they did to Japan in that pack, I think was done really well. I can't say it because I'm not Japanese, but I think from what I've seen, they did a really nice job, and I think the world is beautiful.
Hmm.
Um, but as an expansion pack, I'd really like to see some kind of generations-esque expansion pack. And I know that's a really boring answer, but I want
No,
my elders to have stuff to do.
I want to have wheelchairs in the game. I want to have crutches in the game. I want a sim to like get hurt and you get to
Yeah,
take them
well,
to the hospital and it's not like a random place. You just go and have a baby and leave. Like I want to be able to go and do these things.
mm, yeah,
Yeah. But
fingers crossed.
I mean, how you know that Sims 4 is almost done? Generations, cars, fairies, horses. They give us those four things. There's the Sims 4. They're like, okay, we've wrapped it up. We've put it on our shelves. We're good to go.
Yep.
I kind of hope for generations as well. I know it's a very safe answer. I want an African world. I think that would be amazing. Or an Australian world.
You know what my second answer would be? Some
What?
sort of like resort management kind of expansion pack,
Yes.
which is something that they could have implemented so many times and they just didn't add that as a feature to any of the packs. But if they did some sort of resort management thing, they could
Mhm.
potentially do that with Africa
Yes.
inspired worlds or like South Africa even. And I
I want
think
like
that would be
some
a really cool
I
opportunity.
I agree. I would love to see some safaris in there. Don't give us horses, but give me a lion instead. I'm also biased. I also want a Canada world, being Canadian, but I'm like,
Yes.
I feel like they would stereotype it and be like, it would be always snowing. There would be 20 Tim Hortons, and Justin Bieber would be the celebrity just walking around, or Drake, just walking around. But anyways, Jojo, let's talk about your amazing sculptors. And the first thing I ever noticed when I saw your page, I was like, is that a cow plant? I remember looking at that and I was like, oh my God, this girl is so amazing. This is what she does. Like, this is what she creates. Like, talk to me about how you started to create your sculptors. Like, was it like, did you dream about it or is it something that you've always had a passion for?
I started sculpting probably like around 2015, I think. So I'd been doing it for a couple of years. I didn't start making the cow plants until 2019.
Okay.
So I'd been doing it kind of like as a little side hobby for a couple of years. And I I was in university online. I was doing a course in 3D animation,
Hmm.
and I'd been doing it for about 2 years. I was coming towards like the last stretch. And around that time, I'd kind of been noticing that I was getting a lot of headaches, and I thought, I'll just push through them. I'll just keep going. Until one day I woke up with the worst migraine that I'd ever had, and I pretty much had to stop using computers.
Wow.
And it's if you'd said that to me uh the day before I had that migraine, I wouldn't have believed you because all of my hobbies, all of pretty much everything I was interested in was on the computer. I've been a nerd my whole life. That now I managed to kind of finish that semester of university with sort of all right grades. But I was kind of left with daily chronic migraines, and I was a bit lost of what to do. So I hadn't been part of the Sims community for a long time. It'd been several years, and I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna use the time that I can go on the computer to
Mm-hmm.
dedicate to Sims, and I'm gonna start interacting with the community again. I got involved with a group called Sims Creators Community, who are really cool. They share a lot of stuff around the community, and I made a little polymer clay cow plant just in my own time, and I sent them a photo, and they were like, "Can you make us one?" So I was like, "Okay, sure." I
Yeah.
made them one and posted it online on Twitter, and a bunch more people were like, "Can you make me one?" So I started making them. I made a little Etsy shop because I figured that would be the easiest way to
Mm-hmm.
get them out there, and they kept selling,
Mm-hmm.
and they kept selling. And how many years later are we now? 3 going on 4 years later. They're
Mm-hmm.
still selling. So
Because we want them because I'm gonna say they're fucking amazing. I remember
oh, thank
looking at them, I
you.
was like, she is so talented, especially your miniatures. I'm like, she did that. Like they're so small. I'm like, but I love that one. Thank you for sharing about, the health struggles that you have had to overcome. I can't even imagine what the pain and suffering that must have been. So again, thank you so much for sharing. But I'm so happy that you're back and you're able to be part of this community and carve out something that maybe that's something that we needed, which is like really cute Sims cow plants because everyone needs a cow plant, okay? Like I'm just saying, like everybody and their mother needs a cow plant. Now, I'm just curious because I have zero knowledge of sculpting. I'm sure you can tell. Talk to me from your starting process to your ending process.
Well, I sculpt with polymer clay, which is a type of clay that bakes in the oven.
Okay.
Essentially, I will grab as much of it as I can at the craft store. Come home. I generally try not to bake too much all at once. I'm usually working on between 5 and 10 cow plants at a time.
Okay.
I have to do them kind of rather than making each one individually. It's easier to make like 10 heads and then 10 pots and then 10 leaves and then paint 10 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So quite often it's just like it looks like some kind of zombie lab of cow plant. I cleared up my desk before we started filming, so there's no like disembodied cow plants. But
Sorry, that's the
I've
best
shared a
thing.
couple. I've shared a couple videos of kind of like the process of making the bigger ones that I have kind of on my shelf looking down at me. Um, and it is just kind of a process of starting off with an armature for bigger stuff. I have like a wire core that goes all the way from top to bottom. For
Okay.
cow plants, they do not cooperate with gravity in the slightest. They just want to fall flat on their face
Mm-hmm.
forwards, which is something that the Sims team don't need to worry about because gravity doesn't exist in a 3D space on the computer. But I have to compete with it continuously.
Oh my gosh. Because
So yeah, once I've yeah.
no, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, once I've rooted like a big cow plant to the spot on a base, then I can start sculpting once I'm sure it's not going to move.
I got you. So something you actually it warmed my heart yesterday when I know you've been working on it for a while, but I saw your reel and everybody was sharing the wedding cake topper reel. So I used to make wedding cakes
Yeah.
for a living on the side, and people would give me these really fucking heavy wedding toppers, and I'm like, that's gonna fall.
Oh no, you do not. You would hate. me as someone that makes cake toppers now, apparently, because I started making it, and the base, I went to my dad, who's essentially the person that I go to when I have a DIY problem. I give it to him, and he looks terrified and then tries to solve it for me.
Okay, I like it.
Um, but I went to him with the issue of I need a base that isn't wood for these cow plants to be like fixed to, but
Yes.
it needs to be heavy enough so that the cow plants don't fall over. And he presented me with like this stone tile essentially that he'd managed to cut into some like sort of circle shape. And so I rooted the cow plants to that stone tile. It is a stone tile that is sat on, I have like 5 minutes footage of it on a cake purely for my bad cake making ability, because I made like a fruit cake to put it on for the photos and like iced it with buttercream. It was dreadful. It was horrible. But there are cake dowels within that cake,
Yeah,
like throughout the entire cake.
there
Like
has to
it's more
be.
dowels than cake.
Because I saw it. So I saw the and I'm like that like at first I was like I'm like, well, maybe it's like a light plastic or something. Like maybe there's something in there. And then I look at it a little further and I'm looking at the cake and I'm like, no, that's a solid surface sauce. Okay. Oh my God. I if somebody gave that to you, I would be like, so just so you know, there's going to be 100 dowels in this cake. This part of the cake is going to be real. This part's going to be dowels. But no, again, it's so creative because like I saw that and I was like, if I didn't have such a traditional family, that would be my wedding topper next year. That was the first thing
Yeah.
I thought because me and my fiance both really like the Sims. Like it's something that we talk about and Grant likes. He's been on a podcast a couple times. I was saying that I was like, I want that, but it's gonna fall through my cake. But now I know the secret is well, dowels, no cake. um,
Yeah.
you talked about the process. Now, this is something that I like to educate people who are like who people who are not artists to understand what it's like to be an artist. How long does it take you from start to finish one cow plant?
Oh, it varies, but
Yeah.
for the standard kind of classic miniature cow plant that I do, that takes me probably about 2 hours to make one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But it's difficult. It speeds up the process by doing lots of them all at one time. But the any designs that I do with miniature flowers, I love making miniature flowers because I can just zone out and just it's just a process that I do. I assemble all the tiny bits of clay as they need to be assembled,
Yes.
but it murders my eyes because I am sat there for like 2 to 3 hours assembling flowers, let alone a cow plant. So the special kind of cow plants that I do, the variants, they take anywhere from 2 to like 6 hours. I did a cow plant design for Moonwood Mill when the werewolves pack came out,
Mm-hmm.
and that has like foxglove flowers growing up behind this like log tree stump, and it's one of my favorite designs I've ever come up with. And I had people messaging me saying like, are these going to be in the shop? And I'm like, no, they're not going anywhere near the shop because I don't have like you I couldn't charge enough to justify like the hours that I would have to pour. So it's like people
Mm-hmm.
say like I'd pay you for it, and I'm like, it's not worth it. I
Well,
appreciate the sentiment so much that you would pay me to assemble tiny miniature foxgloves around a cow plant, but no, just no.
I appreciate the honesty, and that's something that I want to draw awareness to that it takes a lot of time to put these together. And not everybody understands the amount of time that can go into taking something. So that's again absolutely amazing because I saw that online. I was like, I need one of these. I really like the Glimmerbrook ones that you've been working on. I love them as well, and I love the earrings. Now you have earrings. Will you ever focus on any other types of jewelry?
I don't know. I really like making the little cowberry earrings. I've considered doing them as like little pendant necklaces as well.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know. I'm always worried to do anything like with bracelet charms because polymer clay isn't the most durable. It's very
Okay.
much for art.
Hmm.
Some people do make really cool jewelry that's made to be more robust, but the kind of designs that I do are a bit more delicate. So I don't want anything like on a bracelet that might like fly against the door handle or something, because I'd just be sat there internally screaming at the thought of that. Um, but yeah, so I like dabbling in jewelry, but I'm not doing it too much because I prefer kind of making more intricate pieces
Hmm.
and sculpts that are designed to sit and look pretty and potentially not be on a keychain on a backpack that's being thrown into like the back of a wardrobe every day. So that's
I
kind of where my opinion goes for jewelry.
Okay. No, I think that's really good because I saw your earrings. I was like, well, now she needs a necklace to go with the earrings because a hardcore Sims fans. Now, I'm sorry.
I made one cowberry necklace when the first ever sim guru reached out to me on Twitter and said, "Can I have a cow plant?" And I said, "Yes, you may have a cow plant, sim guru." Um, and she was the first sim guru that had ever reached out to me. She's actually sim guru Kimmy. She did my profile picture, and yeah, I was she tweeted at me like the other month and said how much it meant to her that I was still using that as my profile picture, and I'm like, you made that for me. It is my honor to have that as my profile picture forever. So
Of
but yeah, I
course.
made her a little cowberry necklace just to say like thank you for being really nice and liking my art. So, so I made one necklace one time. It was for her.
I it's so nice. Now, I had a thought, and I don't know if this is a thought you would ever do. I was thinking, I'm like, would you ever make holiday ornaments that could go on trees?
Yes, I have considered that. Uh, I don't actually know what I'm doing for Christmas this year because, like, as we're talking, it's very towards the end of October now, which is
Mhm.
terrifying to think about. And ideally, as an artist, you need to have Christmas figured out in September. So I'm running a bit late. But no, I've considered. I made last year. I made a little ornament of Yamachan, the little character from Snowy Escape,
Yep.
just like making snow angels. And so I've made a couple ornaments for my own tree, and people very kindly put up with me hanging Sims ornaments on the tree. So,
I'm gonna say
but I don't
I'm gonna
know.
sit here and tell you, Jojo, if you release Christmas ornaments, I will be the first person to pre-order because I have two trees. I have what I like to call my tree, which has all of my Disney ornaments, my childhood ornaments, all my Pokemon ornaments, all of my wacky, fun hot sauce, my mixer ornament. Like it's my fun tree. And then my tree I have upstairs, which you guys will see in the next rounds of interviews in November. It's what I like to call my tacky tree, which looks like it's from the 90s. And it's just classic big bulbs and beads going all the way around. I was sitting there, I was like, I would pay infinite amount of dollars to have a cow plant on my tree. Like I would.
Well, maybe I will have to figure out getting some hanging cow plants in the shop then.
Maybe.
The
uh,
possibility. We'll see.
it's yes. I don't
This
want
will
to.
be coming out in December, so you'll be able to tell future
I know.
viewers whether or not I did it.
You'll know because I'll be like tree photo. Anyways, Georgia, I got a couple more questions for you. I'm gonna let you go on your way. What advice do you wish you knew when you started making these sculptures that you know now that you wish you would have known back then?
I think honestly, I don't know a way to phrase this without it coming across as really mean, but don't be a people pleaser.
Okay.
because when I had people reaching out at first, I still am very honored whenever anyone's like, I really like your art. Can I have some of it?
Mhm,
Um, I want to immediately go like, yes, of course, that's amazing. There is a human that wants to pay me to do what I love to do.
mhm.
But I just have a hard rule now that I will not take general commissions, just like via request, because if I do it for one person, I have to do it for everyone. And it kind of, I'm so lucky because I get so many kind, lovely messages through Instagram. So I don't want to focus on the negative ones, but I do get people reaching out occasionally with pretty blunt requests of just like, why don't you just make more? Or why can't I have one? Like, I'll pay you double, just make me one. And I'm just like, I thank you, but no. And then it's the same with like pre-orders. Like, why don't you do pre-orders? Why can't I just pre-order one? I've been waiting for a cow plant like for 5 minutes. Why can't I pre-order one? And it's just like, I don't feel comfortable taking your money and then saying that you're going to potentially wait 6 months to receive a cow plant.
Yeah.
I don't want that pressure. So I have a hard rule that it's first come, first serve in the shop. And my heart goes out to everybody that is there waiting for a cow plant. And it makes my day so much when I see messages from people saying, I finally got one, or I got the cow plant that I was after, or these are my favorite designs, and I'm so happy to have one. And I'm just like, yes, it makes my day to see people excited to be able to get one. And so yeah, I think my advice for starter me is don't be a people pleaser. Don't just roll over as soon as someone starts giving you shit for not being able to make stuff fast enough.
That is such amazing advice to yourself. And it's hard because at the beginning you want to make everybody happy. You want to get everyone to be like, I can do this for you. But then you stretch yourself too thin and you're just like, well, I can't do this. And then they feel disappointed. And then that's when people get hurt, when they feel disappointed because they had this expectation of this was going to
Yeah,
be this way. But
if you overpromise, then it gives me anxiety, it makes the buyer disappointed. So it's easier to
yeah.
just be honest with what you can accomplish as an artist, what you can do, what you can take on, what you're comfortable taking on, and just sticking to those kind of boundaries that you set in place, I think.
I think that's amazing advice, especially for anybody as well who wants to start their own business of especially being an artist, of knowing your own boundaries and knowing your clients' boundaries and not being afraid to tell your clients no. That
Yeah,
is something
you
that
can
takes,
say no.
you can say no to people. Um, I did cupcakes for many years. I had my kitchen license. I would run myself ragged for people who didn't want to pay more than $1.50 for a cupcake. I put my price up to $2 a cupcake and everyone ran away. Everybody, clients I had for years. And I said, I know my self-worth, I know my value. And if you're not willing to appreciate my time and my effort, then it's not worth my time. So I appreciate you being honest and saying, this is what I'm doing. I don't do pre-orders. It's for my mental health and it's not for you to feel disappointed. Again, that is amazing, amazing, amazing advice for anybody who wants to start
But
their own store.
anyone that messages me kindly and reaches out and says, like, just to inquire, I will never be mad at that. If
No,
anyone just reaches out and to say, like, oh, do you do pre orders or would you do a commission? And I'm like, no, sorry, it's, there's restocks regularly. This is how it works. And people are so friendly and so lovely and so understanding. So yeah, the people that don't respect you, you don't need to waste time with them, I don't think.
I agree. What is your favorite cow plant that you've ever created?
I think it might be the Moonwood Mill
Moonwood
floral
Mill.
cow plant that I did. I'm also uh, pretty fond of the Grim Reaper cow plants I did for last Halloween
Mm-hmm.
because I like the idea of them being little henchmen for the Grim Reaper. And like if one shows up in your garden, you're like, no, shit, no, we gotta go.
We got to go. um, if you could design your like a dream cow plant of anything in the world, What would it be?
So difficult. But I say this wanting to put no expectation on it ever happening,
Excellent.
but I really want to make a life-size cow plant, like a full life-size actual sculpture. Like I think in The Sims, I think Sims are canonically like 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that cow plants would be like 7 or 8 foot. So this is not a realistic goal, but in theory, although I did have I had a clay company reach out to me who specialize in sculpting materials for outdoor sculptors,
Mhm.
like clay that will last like forever, that isn't going to weather or deteriorate over time. And they're like, we'd love to send you some of our product to try out. And I'm just thinking, is this the time? Is this the moment that I make the real life cow plant that I can't actually fit inside the house? But no, there's no expectation on me ever achieving that. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
Oh my God. I couldn't even imagine. EA would be all over that shit. Sims team would be
They
like,
might have a problem, I think, if I took copyright to that extent and actually made a real life replica.
oh my God. No, what are you talking about? They'd want one for their office. They'd fly you out to wherever the EA office is in America and be like, you're going to build us one of these for our main desk. Oh my God. Ah, that's so cute. When can we expect your store to be restocked? This is October, so is it going to be before December?
As of when this is coming out, the November restock I have planned will have already happened,
Ah, yes.
and I will not be dealing with postage in December. So you learn that very early on when
Yes.
selling internationally. You don't do postage at December. Um, but hopefully, going forward into next year, there will be restocks for classic miniature cow plants somewhat regularly. I don't really know what my plans are for next year as of yet, but you can probably predict cow plants.
Yes. And I know you said you sculpt other items and other characters from The Sims. Who else would you want to do? Is there anybody else you would want to create in your sculptures with?
At some point, I would like to teach myself some more kind of basics of human anatomy, but I don't think that when I do that, I'll feel comfortable sharing that for a long time. Um, but obviously, Bella Goth would
Yes.
be amazing to
Yep.
do a sculpt of her. I want to do more My Sims characters because I love that franchise so much, and they're just so fun to create. And plus, the way that they look in the game, they
Mm-hmm.
look like they're meant to be made out of clay. We even have like statues of them in The Sims 4. So
Mm-hmm.
I really need to get around to making more of those. I may have sculpted something that I can see out the corner of my eye, which is the biggest sculpt I have done so far. I suppose I could show you
Yeah,
because
you could. Yeah.
I hopefully will have posted it on social media by the time this comes out.
Oh my God, that is stunning. Holy
It's
shit.
the mother plant in all
Oh,
her glory. So yeah, that took me a while. But
yeah.
I'm hoping to post photos next week of that. So she
Oh,
was a process.
I'm sure. Okay, so for that, is that just like a basic white clay and then do you paint it or some parts of that colored clay?
Oh no, I'm not saying I did that all with colored clay.
Okay. I was looking at that, I'm like, there's gradients. How did you get the gradients?
Normal sane sculptors would think that looks like a lot of work to do with colored clay. We'll just sculpt the whole thing and then paint it. But I was like, no, I have too much colored clay already. I'm not going to go buy a bunch a bunch of just bog standard either white. I go through enough white with cow plants. So I thought I'll just use it, I'll make it in colored clay. And now looking back on it, I probably wouldn't do that again.
Hmm.
But
What
but I think it, yeah,
no, sorry, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I think it worked out well. I like you said, the gradients came out nice. So that was good.
Oh my God. I'm like they're like you could have told me that was hand painted. I would have believed you. I think it's even more skilled that it was color based because you'd have to get the colors perfectly. Now out of curiosity, because I used to be a manager at a craft store and I was in the art department. So I had to deal with clay and I was the worst person to give clay advice on. I was like that, just like that. What clay is your favorite clay to use and why?
I have a fondness for Fimo polymer clay,
Okay.
which I find to be a really nice consistency in the way that it's tough to work with, but it holds detail really well. So it's ideal for miniatures. Whereas some of the other alternatives like Sculpey and Primo, there are a couple others I think that are available in America and
Mhm.
Canada as well. They're a lot easier to work with in terms of sculpting, but they don't hold detail as well, I find, or they're
Okay.
brittle after baking. So I've always used Fimo. I've had really good success with that. I generally use Fimo Soft, although I have been using Fimo Pro for the cow plants heads because I find that's just faster. It holds its shape better. But yes, that's generally my 101 overview of clay types.
I love it. Well, Jojo, I want to thank you so much for coming here today. Now, I have one final question because I know you're a nerd and I appreciate that. I'm sure you can tell Sailor Moon hand painting, and because this is coming out in Christmas time, Sailor Moon Christmas sweater is the cotton in your name from a Pokemon. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Yes, okay. I because I see that and I'm like, oh, it's
No,
Pokemon.
there is a story. My last name is Cotton.
Oh.
So when I came across the Pokemon Cottony,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, that's cool. It's got my name. And my favorite Pokemon is Whimsicott, which is the evolution of Cottony, which is a little kind of cotton puff Pokemon. So yes, that is essentially the reason for the name. And I at school, like a nickname, we have a saying in England. I don't know if it's worldwide, called "Bless your cotton socks." Don't know if that's no, not a worldwide thing, not a
That's
worldwide thing. But yeah, so people used to say that to me at school, and I thought I'm going to take that and use it myself. So,
no, but
so now I go by CottoneeSocks.
may I ask, what does that mean by may bless your cotton? Sorry, bless my cotton socks. Was that the
Yeah,
saying?
bless your cotton socks. I think it's kind of a very innocent thing. It's kind of if you see someone probably who's younger doing something really sweet or innocent, you go, "Oh, bless your cotton socks." So I think that's where it came from.
Oh my God. See, that's so funny. So in America, it's oh bless her heart, which is oh she dumb. Anyways, Jojo, I want to say it's an absolute pleasure. Why don't you tell everybody where we can find your amazing sculptures?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at CottoneeSocks. I also have so far posted one YouTube video and it took me so long to edit. I don't know when the next one will be. I am also CottoneeSocks on YouTube. But yeah, that's where you can find me. I have a website, also CottoneeSocks. That's where you can find the cow plants.
And do you still have an Etsy shop?
No, Etsy's
No.
not active at the minute. I moved onto my own website. So CottoneeSocks.com is where you can buy cow plants. Anywhere else that's claiming to sell my cow plants, not selling cow plants. You're not going to get a cow plant. So,
Amazing. Well, Jojo, I want to thank you so much for coming here today and, sharing everything of like how your
oh,
sculptures are. They are absolutely incredible.
it's
Please go
been such a
check them out.
pleasure. Thank
Oh,
you.
you are very welcome. Everyone, please go check out my girl Jojo and please go check out her cow plow plants. They are absolutely amazing. And again, I want to thank you so much for coming today.
Thank thank you. I really appreciate being invited, and it's just such a lovely thing to be able to just ramble about The Sims.
Is
So,
isn't it? Well, again, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, okay?
yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye.